All right, guys, Glenn is back. We're going to be talking residency, touching on those tax incentives a little bit. We're going to get to all that in a minute. Hey, guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. TravelCostaRicaNow.com is a travel agency, so go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Fill out the 4-minute form. You'll be that much closer to vacation with Lifetime. We're like you, having best friends who live in Costa Rica, who know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your Costa Rica vacation. Hey, man, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps. And if you want to see videos as we put them up, hit the notification bell. And yes, we have a relocation retreat coming up in a few months. So if Costa Rica's on your radar, think you might want to live here, but you're not quite sure, that 6-7 day event might be for you. All that information is in the link below. Glenn, thanks a lot. We're going to be touching on the residency stuff. Now, Glenn has he has one business that he does money lending, equity loans, but his wife, and you too, really, they also do residency, but that's mostly his wife. Glenn represents because his English is just a little bit better than his wife's, so we use him. His wife makes him come here and do this. So we're going to talk about residency, and gosh, there's so much to chat about. So let's act like nobody knows anything about Costa Rica residency. They want to live here, they want to move here, and they want to become residents here. What are some of the ways they can get their residency? They can be legal where they don't have to leave every 90 days.
Well, the number one category is probably the pensionado. Okay, you just need to earn $1,000 US a month. And by the way, that can be a disability pension or a regular pension. So,
but typically it's Social Security,
yes.
It can be disability.
It can be disability, yes. The second one...
but it has to, it has to at least be 1,000, right?
It has to be $1,000 a month, yeah.
Okay, and is that you and your wife, or do they need 2,000?
No, you and your wife. You and
1,000.
For the family, yep.
Oh, for the family too, 1,000.
Yep.
Although I wouldn't recommend that if that's all they got.
It'd be hard to live on that, but yeah.
So now, so what is one of the Pensionado is obviously, well, not obviously, is the most popular. And one of the reasons is because once you get your residency here, you have to pay into the healthcare system,
yes,
which they call the Caja here.
Yes.
And the Pensionado category, you tend, maybe not always, I guess, but you tend to have to pay less to your monthly Caja bill. Is that
yes.
true, or is that false?
That's very true. So what will happen is a husband and wife will come to us and say, well, usually the husband will say, well, listen, I'm going to start the residency process and put my wife as my spouse as a dependent on the application. The thing is, we'll say, do you both have pensions? Yes, she has one for $1,200 and I have one for $1,800 or $2,000 or $5,000, or whatever the case may be. Well, it's probably better that we do it under your wife and you be the spouse, because she has the smaller amount and you're going to pay taxes on whatever you claim that you make in your pension. So the
Caja is based on your. So if let's say you used him, the $1,800, the Caja is going to be a little more per month,
yes,
because it's based on the $1,800.
Yes.
Where hers maybe like $1,200,
yes,
or whatever, is going to be a little less.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a little bit of a loophole and you're taking advantage, but unfortunately that's the way it works here. So most people are going to use their they're going to try to get as close to $1,000 on their Pensionado.
That's the key. If you have a bunch of pensions, the only one we need to know about, the one that's close to $1,000. It has to be over 1,000. So if you got one just over 1,000, that's the best one. That's all you need for your qualifications. So there's no need to use anything else.
All right. So that's Pensionado and pretty much in a nutshell. What's maybe the next most?
I would say the next one is probably investor. Now it's the investor category. You can get in with $150,000,
which just changed, right?
Which just changed. It was $200,000. Now it's $150,000. The good news is you can buy a house and call it a day, as long as that's what's in the registro, the registry of Costa Rica. If it's in the registry at over $150,000, you qualify for the investor category.
So 2 questions on the investor, because I actually don't know these. So what's the Caja based on? The 150?
No, you're going to have to, you're going to get a salary. So that'll come down the road. How are you making your money? What it is that you did with your investment. And so your tax will be based on your investment. That's a whole nother thing that you'll have to talk about.
What do you mean? The investment of the house or
whatever the investment may be. I don't know. Did you invest in trees? Teak trees in Costa Rica. Depends on because it's an investor category. So you have to invest. So whatever you invest in, you'll have to sort that out with your accountant and see what they come up with the number.
And the other thing is what happens after 2 years when you have to renew? What happens? So you're still under investor. Do they check stuff?
So if you're in the investor category, and let's say you bought a business, you better still own the business in 2 years. If you sold the business, you no longer have a reason to have an investor category. So you have to be careful that you don't get into a business that's only for a year, because it's no good after that. You have to, when the time comes to renew, they're going to want you to prove everything one more time.
Does the business have to make a certain amount of money?
No, it doesn't have to make a certain amount of money. You have to invest in it. It doesn't mean that you're going to get rich or you're going to get poor. That's what you invested in. You could do a teak farm that doesn't produce money for maybe 20 years. So you're going to be waiting for a while.
If it's a teak farm, it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering about that. So I'm assuming maybe the next one's Rentista?
Rentista.
Explain that one.
Rentista is $60,000. You need to put that in a Costa Rica. The easiest way is to put that in a Costa Rican bank and take out $2,500 a month.
So so Rentista means I have 60,000 and that's my investment into the Costa Rican government. What is that? What am I doing?
It's your money, but it's also your pay. You're guaranteeing the government that you're paying yourself $2,500 a month. So now you're going to get taxed on $2,500 a month because you just told them that you're making $2,500. But the weird thing is it's your own money. So it's kind of funky how they can come up with that scenario.
Well, full disclosure, yours truly is filed under Rentista.
Uh-huh.
And my Caja bill sucks.
Yep.
So you're proving that you have this amount of money and it's 60,000. Where's 250 come in? Why do you hear 250,000? I mean, that's what's that? You know what I'm talking about?
No, well, it's just an investor category.
No, I thought it was part of the Rentista. It used to be like you had to show 250,000 or something.
No.
So
it's just 60,000. Put it in a bank account in Costa Rica. Take your 2,500 out a month. If you don't spend it, you still have it at the end of the term, and you can just use that same 60,000. So you kind of have to do it twice because it's only good for 2 years, and you can't apply for permanent residency until you've been in the system for 3 years. So halfway through the second term, you can apply for permanent residency.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you want to ultimately get to. Once you get to permanent residency, the other things before that doesn't matter anymore. So if your company is gone, it doesn't matter anymore. Whatever got you to this place, because now you're a permanent resident. You can go get a job if you're a permanent resident.
Right. Okay, so that's Rentista in a nutshell. That's not as popular, I don't think. People try to stay away from that.
We do have a few people doing that. I'd say the number one category, if you're in your 40s and that sort of thing, that's the two that they look at, and most people will end up picking the investor category and go with the $150,000. Because a lot of people are coming here do want to buy a house anyway. So buy a house,
right.
You're in.
And so what's after that? I forget.
Well, you got parent of Costa Rican parents, child of a Costa Rican. Those are
a marriage. Yes. Those are all tricky.
Yes. And we can go over all those details when you come into the office, because everyone is a different scenario depending on what how old the child is, where they were, all the scenarios that goes with that.
So, I've been kind of outspoken on the whole digital nomad category. I think for good reason, but maybe I've had people go, "Oh, works for me." Well, okay.
Let me enlighten you.
Yeah, please do.
I do believe I sent you a text a while back saying that the government only had 300 applicants.
You did. I saw that.
Yes. And guess what? We put a few people through at that time for free just to see how the system go. And as of yesterday, one of our clients made it through the system. So they are now digital nomad category. Let's see how it goes. But that's the first. And out of all of Costa Rica, only 300 people applied for the Nomad category. So I don't think it's popular.
Yeah, just maybe briefly say, I think you need to prove $3,000 to $5,000 or something.
You have to, yeah. I mean, reality, the border run seems to be more attractive to all the people than this category. And there's too much bureaucracy. People that are digital nomads, they might want to be here for a year and then Spain next year.
Right.
They're not interested in being here forever. So it's not like they're trying to become a resident. And the worst news is you don't get points for doing that towards becoming a resident down the road.
Like if you wanted to stay in Costa Rica for the next 10 years, it serves no purpose.
Then you just do another Nomad thing again for another year and just continue doing that. But it doesn't accomplish anything other than you being legally in Costa Rica.
Yeah, so why are we talking about digital nomad? I hate that category, Glenn. Why'd you bring that up?
I don't see a whole lot of interest in it.
Maybe I brought that up. Again, I like to make these videos stand on their own. The other thing is a lot of people do this to see if Costa Rica is right for them, or what we kind of alluded to with digital nomad. Sometimes people just go, I can't fit under those categories, but I might fit under them in a couple years. And every 3 months they have to leave. That's the law here. You have 90 days. You got to leave, get your passport stamped out and back in. And there are some people that have been doing that for years. I did it for 12. A lot of people don't like that hassle, and it can be a big hassle too. And it can be, although I never had a problem, I still thought I was going to be I don't know what I thought.
Nerve-wracking.
It's like the police in back of you on the freeway or something. I always felt like 10 people were going to come out and go, we know what you're doing. Yeah. I don't know. So I was always stressed about it, but I would pick that over the digital nomad if I was gonna, hey, I want to hang out in Costa Rica for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Yes, you got to go up to the border, come back 4 times a year. And usually a lot of people like to make it fun anyway, or you can take a cheap flight to Guatemala. So that's what they call a perpetual tourist here. It's kind of a loophole. A lot of people do it, but a lot of people don't like that. And they want to be legit in Costa Rica, especially if they're going to own property. They don't want to go, oh my God, am I going to try to come back and I don't have, that kind of.
I think the number one thing you have to say to yourself is, how long do I plan on living in Costa Rica? If you only plan on living here 1 year and then you're off to another country, then do it the easy way. Don't get it all complicated. If you plan on doing residency, then start getting ready for that. But if you're just a nomad, that's probably not in your interest or in your radar. It's not what you're interested in. You probably just want to try a country each year, whatever the case.
Yeah, the digital nomad, I just don't think the money isn't right. You have to prove this. You still got to have your health insurance. You got, it's just a lot of,
there's no
a lot for nothing, really.
Yeah,
so.
There's no benefit to the digital nomad other than not having to leave. The other thing to remember is if you're in a place that's close to the border, what's the big deal of running the border? If you live in San Jose, it's like, 4 or 5 hours to the border, so that can be a pain.
Here, it's an hour and a half. We can literally leave at 7 in the morning. And now that Nicaragua, that's the better border crossing, by the way. Panama sucks. All the bad stories are Panama. But an hour and a half, we go. Now they're stamping in and out at the same time. They never used to do that. Never. You have to be here for 4 hours. You have to be here for 3 hours. Now, one window in another window back, and D'Angelo's back by lunch here.
I would have to say the digital nomad people changed the world. Meaning everybody I know is living in another country, working online on the internet, making money. So you can live wherever you want. I think Costa Rica should try to attract these people because they just bring money. They don't take money. They come here and spend oodles of money. You get people that are doing SEO marketing online and they're making tens of thousands of dollars and can live anywhere. And they choose to live here. So we need to welcome these people because they're bringing money and they're not taking. And they pay for maids, they pay for people, they tip, they leave lots of money in Costa Rica. They should be very well welcomed.
Yeah, I would just try. The only thing I would worry about is maybe a health insurance type of thing. They'd have to work some sort of, you have to prove this, or I don't need, maybe even pay into the Caja for the time, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I could see that.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I say this now, but maybe even the perpetual tourist is proven to be a perpetual tourist, maybe needs to have traveler's insurance, but that's another thing.
That's true.
So let's go back for people that didn't know about. I don't know if it was a year and a half ago. Costa Rica goes, man, we want people to move here. We want the money. We want, we're going to welcome people. So they came up with some tax incentives to bring you here. A couple of those incentives were you could bring your house in a container tax free. You could bring cars tax free. The investor category, like Glenn said, changed from 200,000 to 100,000 or 150,000. And then what's that other one? That 20% off of the tax on property or something.
Yeah.
So now that's finally they put that into the law, but they didn't have the details worked out, so they couldn't do it. Well, now it's getting like, okay, we're doing it, kind of. So where are we at on that? If you guys saw the video with Pablo, now Pablo's a container guy. He's the import-export guy. So we only discussed household items and cars. He didn't know anything about what that implies with the investor category, what you had to do. So what's this new law with that incentive? What is it?
Well, they still don't have the law any clearer than it was. So what I'm understanding now, if you have a husband and a wife, you can each bring a car into Costa Rica. Or if you have a husband and his kid that's coming to Costa Rica, they can bring 2 vehicles. If you're on your own, from what I understand so far, you can only bring in 1 vehicle. The other thing is your vehicle, you have to have it for at least 6 months before you bring it to Costa Rica. They want you they want to know that you own the car for 6 months before you bring it here. And once it's here and you get it cleared, you have to keep the car for 3 years or you will pay all the duties.
Yeah, that whole I'm going to come and sell my car.
Yeah, no.
No.
And the same with the household goods. They're saying that they want receipts. Your whatever you bring into Costa Rica has to be older than 6 months, and everything has to have receipts. Now they're saying you can bring clothes, furniture, all these kinds of things. Do you have all your receipts for your clothes? And by the way, if it doesn't go well for you, they will tax you in the end anyways. Let's say you get to the part where you're here with all your equipment and your furniture and it doesn't work, you have to pay taxes or, I don't know, pay to have it sent back home.
Well, yeah, okay. So if you haven't seen Pablo's video about what we're talking about with the household items and the cars, I'll put the link in the description so you can check that out. But the biggest thing I got from talking to Pablo is you couldn't get these tax incentives. You have to have residency. You
Yes.
can't be in the middle of residency. Oh, I promise we're going to get residency. You have to have residency, prove you have residency. Then you have to register that you're going to be,
Yes.
you want this tax incentive. It's a whole rigmarole,
Yes.
as we used to
And
say.
they still haven't worked out all the details.
I know they have it. And Pablo was very up. He's like, this is where it's at right now. So I just right now, is there any sequence of things somebody has to do? If, okay, I want the investor category, I'm getting my residency. How's it? I don't know.
Once you start your process, then you can go apply to Pablo. Let him know that you want to bring your stuff into Costa Rica. He'll start the paperwork, but he has to start it after you start your application for residency.
Because he was saying, there's that office. I always forget what it's called. The reason you can't do anything is because you have to have your cedula, which is like, let's just say your driver's license or a number. We call it cedula. You have to have your number for that to fill out the sheet. You don't have the number, and you can only have that number if you got your residency. So
we still have to wait and see how all this is going to play out. I mean, we still need to figure out what's going to happen with the Nomad. Like I said, we just had one go through. Let's see how it all works out in the end. I'll keep you informed.
Yeah, guys, if you don't really know anything about Costa Rica or haven't spent any time here, some of these things may sound they can't get, dude, things take they just do. Forever.
They do.
Forever. They'll make these, I heard this happened. They made this law. They do make laws, but they a lot of times don't have ways to enforce their law. They don't have ways to, there's no rhyme or reason, but they're like, yeah, come on down. We have incentives, but they don't, it's like people didn't get the memo. The immigration people didn't get a memo. The export-import guy didn't get the memo.
That's exactly it. Everybody has to be on the same plane. They're not. Also, you have to, I'm not sure what you're going to do with your furniture in the USA, but you have to pack it up, store it somewhere, pay for it to be stored, get it down to Costa Rica, keep paying for storage. While you're paying for storage, I don't know, rent an apartment that's furnished until all this gets through. So there's a lot of things that need to be thought out for both sides. Like for you moving here, you have to figure out how you're going to do it. Best to get all the answers first.
Yeah, that was one of the big problems. We made a part 2 with Pablo, and one of the biggest thing was you could be down here waiting for your stuff for 6 months.
Yes.
Now, but I have a car, but I need a car. Yeah. Now you need to rent a car, which can be up to $2,000 a month to rent a car. Now, should I just have bought another? And that goes with household stuff too. You might not be getting your stuff for 6 months. So what I would tell you to do is pack up some suitcases, put your tech stuff in it, some memorabilia that you want. I wouldn't even do containers, man. I'm sorry. I know people do it. I know they want what they want and they want to replicate.
Heirloom, but again, you're going to need a receipt. If it's a heirloom and you got it from the 1950s, how are you going to have a receipt?
I don't know. I think if you're changing if you're serious about like changing your life and you want to live what they say, the pura vida here, I would think that to me, it means simplification. Now, well, that's just me.
Let me say doing it that way, right? If you buy a car here, you can be driving the next day. If you buy your furniture here, you can set it up in your place the next day. You got it. You're done. You know what you paid. You're finished.
And it's not that expensive, I don't think here. I mean, some stuff, tech stuff is maybe, but
yeah. I mean, you're going to bring your laptops and things like that down from the States anyways. So those things are cheaper over there than they are here.
Right. So, I mean, I just, I know everyone's got their own situation, but I just wouldn't even be messing. And Pablo actually made a video with me. He ships cars. He was telling people, don't ship your car.
Exactly.
I'm like, dude, you ship. That's how you make money. He's like, I know, but they shouldn't ship their cars.
Yeah. No, and it's the same with the Nomad. I'd rather you do the border run than waste your money with Nomad.
And again, this is somebody else that could make money off you being a digital nomad. This is why I like to circle myself with these kind of people that is going to answer that, because he could make money going through the digital nomad process. But instead, he's like, I don't know if I'd even do that. You could do this for cheaper.
Yep.
So, all right, Glenn, it's just an ongoing, thanks for talking to us. It's just an ongoing thing. Just, we'll be doing another video probably in another 3 or 4 months or 6 months explaining just a new little thing that's going on or whatever. But we will always keep you informed. That's one thing we do. Guys, I'm Michael Allen, travelcostaricanow.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps. Things are going to pop up. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, especially Costa Rica, I'll check out that video or that video. It's going to pop up right there. All right, man.